I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I know I enjoyed mine camping. It was very relaxing. And I did say didn't want to really talk about behaviors. I had other things going on, but this is Sunday night, and I'm going to have a very busy week. So hopefully, unless something, big happens, we won't be talking about behaviors too much excuse me, this week. So I can do it tonight, right? Anyways, it is about Mrs. Portland again. It is. When I was sitting by the fire, I did look. Not gonna lie, I was interested in what was going on. I did take a little peek, and it looks like Noodle Mash did send Mrs. Portland paperwork to say, "Hey, stop it, stop lying about me, stop this vile behavior." And Mrs. Portland thought it was a joke. The paperwork was a joke that Noodle Mash sent her. Now, here's the thing. Your first step, if somebody is lying about you or harassing you, doxing you, whatever, first verbally tell them, ask them to stop it, right? And if they don't, then the second step would be to put it in writing to stop. And if you don't stop, then the next step for me to do is to take this legal. And that's what the courts like to see. They don't want, you know, they don't want you to waste the court's time. So if this stuff can be handled between two adults outside of a courtroom, that's what they like to see. And what they're going to see is that Mrs. Portland is not being serious, and she's not handling this or trying to resolve this like an adult. And she's making a joke of it because she said, this has to be, I seen the little video, and of course the screenshot of the paperwork that Noodle Mash sent asking her to stop the lies and, the vile stuff that she has put out on Noodle Mash. And what did Mrs. Portland say that she used, or she was going to use the paperwork she got, basically to wipe her butt with. Not saying that word for word, but basically that's what she's going to use the paper for. And her husband, when she did her live, she basically was saying, take me to court. And her husband in the background was like, yeah, take us to court. We'll win. And she's also saying, what can you get out of me? You can't get nothing out of me. I'm on disability. What are you going to get out of me? There's nothing you can. And she read it all off. And she was saying, every time she went through a sentence, she's like, yes, you did harass me, and yes, you did do this, and yes, you did threaten me, and you bullied me in high school, and blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, now Mr. Portland today made a couple of videos, short videos, that Mrs. Portland shared. And he lied too. I mean, I guess it's a family affair, family thing here. First off, he said that Mrs. Portland has not watched Noodle Mash's videos in a couple of weeks. We know that's a lie because she would do lives or community posts and say, this is what Noodle is saying, this is what she's doing. And she even said in one of her videos or one of her community posts that she, of course, deleted. I just watched Noodle Mash's live, and this is what she said. So Mr. Portland can support his wife. That's what you're supposed to do. But to lie for her and, and to lie with her, sorry, that's not being supportive. You probably sat there and listened and watched with her, but you lied. Okay? You can support all you want, but you lied. And then he also said YouTube doesn't understand. Doesn't understand, or you guys might not like our post, or maybe he was saying YouTube doesn't like. No, not when you're putting out harassing things, when you're harassing others, not just Noodle Mash. And that's another lie he said. He said that we've been respectful to everyone but Noodle Mash. Really? Really? I know that most of the videos are deleted, the community post, but again, people have already downloaded those videos and screenshotted the community post. Just like the creator she went after that did nothing to her, right, Mr. Portland? Where she was, you chimed in too. You were a part of it. How were you being respectful to another female, saying that she used to be a man, right? And putting up something you guys got in an email, not knowing if it was true or not, putting up a mugshot and some drug charges, and clearly it wasn't that person. I mean, the pictures didn't look like her at all. And then spreading around the rumor that she was pregnant. And then Mr. Portland had to just say the words by a black man. For some reason, those words had to come out of his mouth. Not that, it's not by her current boyfriend. Yeah, you're a part of it too, Mr. Portland. You're a part of this game, whatever it is. Is being respectful to everybody else. Saying that Robbie is a backstabber only because he is not allowing somebody to take over his channel and to interrupt his life, or calling other people out and calling them vile names, going after people. Mrs. Portland's going on other panels and doing this. So no. Noodle Mash isn't the only one that Mrs. Portland has done this to. She's done this in every community. We know this. The proof is out there. The videos are out there. All right? So anyways, that was a lie. So back to this with Noodle Mash and Mrs. Portland. Whoever's feeding her this information, you're not doing her any good. You're giving her wrong information, and what you're doing is going to end up hurting her in the long run, because you might not think that Noodle Mash is going to do anything about it. You might not think she has the money to do anything about it. Okay? But what you're not understanding is that there are enough people in this drama circle that are sick and tired of what Mrs. Portland is doing. And they might not follow Noodle Mash. Okay? They might not even like Noodle Mash. I don't know. But they are sick and tired of Mrs. Portland doing this to everybody. Okay? Everybody. If anybody says one thing, or if they just don't want her in their community, she spirals out of control. And maybe she can't help some of the things that she does. But there's a lot of things that she can absolutely, absolutely control, because we've seen her control herself, right? When she's happy and in a community, she knows how to control her anger. She knows what she needs to do to control it. So they're giving her wrong information, just like what Mr. Portland said about this paperwork. You do not need an attorney, and you do not need to have it notarized. Anybody can print this off, right, and send it out. That's what the courts like to see. I've already said that. They like to see grown adults trying to handle this kind of situation outside of a courtroom instead of wasting the court's time. So they like to see these steps that Noodle Mash is taking. Verbally saying, stop. And then in writing, okay? And given a time frame. And then if that doesn't work, she has no other choice but to take her to court. Now, a lot of people want to use that I'm on disability and I'm disabled. You can't sue me. They want to play the I'm disabled card. Now, here's the thing about that. You can sue anybody, even if they're on disability. That does not, just because you're disabled, does not give you a right to break the law or to harass somebody or to lie about them or to dox them. You can't use that I'm disabled so I can do whatever I want. You can't. The one thing that Mrs. Portland has an advantage over Noodle Mash is they cannot, I mean, she can absolutely win the case. Noodle Mash can win the case. And they can, say they can give her an amount of money for winning the case. Even though these cases are hard to win, they are. But see, Noodle Mash, let me back up. Noodle Mash does have a business. She does, right? Her Etsy business. She'll have to prove that it's hurt her business, it's hurt her reputation, but she can also say that it's hurt her mentally, right? But the thing is, yes, when you're on disability, they can't guarantee your wages when you're on disability, if that's your sole income. And there's only two things that they can guarantee your disability for when you're on SSI or SSDI, and that is student loans and child support. Now, if you have a bank, sometimes they try, it's happened, it's kind of rare, but they have tried, I do know that, on some people. But normally it doesn't work, because those are the only two things that they can actually get you for. If SSI or SSDI is your sole income, right? Mrs. Portland has put out there that her husband works part-time. She has. Also, she's on YouTube and she is selling crafts, and she has donations coming through her PayPal. It might not be a lot, but it's something Noodle Mash could use if she wanted to. because she has other income coming in besides the disability income. And if she gets monetized, don't know if that happened, but if it does, that's another income that has nothing to do with disability. So yeah, that's totally different. Totally different. Now, I don't think Noodle Mash wants any type of money at all. She just wants this to stop. She wants the lies to stop, and I'm sure she would love for the truth to come out. Mrs. Portland will never tell the truth. Ever. She'll never say that Noodle Mash did not bully her in high school, even though she did put that video out there. I've said that I can't tell you how many times. I've heard the video myself before it was deleted on her first channel, okay? Mr. Portland knows this. He could put a stop to it, but of course he's going to support his wife, all right? Good husbands support their wife, but good husbands also don't enable bad behavior. They don't. So Noodle Mash also put out her proof that she did not live at that apartment complex for 14 years, like Mrs. Portland has said. Now, one thing that Mrs. Portland accidentally did was dox her own address when she showed that paperwork, right? Her own address is out there. She didn't even redact it. She was in such a hurry to show, look what Noodle did. Look, this is so funny. She didn't even redact her own address, but you know what? I bet you she will turn around. She'll turn it around on Noodle and say, Noodle doxed me. Noodle doxed me. No, Noodle didn't. And Noodle, thank God, was smart enough not to have her address on there. But here's the thing, too. The only way Noodle can prove that she did not live right next door to Mrs. Portland, like Mrs. Portland put out there, is to actually dox herself on what her address is. And I don't recommend that at all. Because Mrs. Portland has already doxed her apartment. We're going to talk about that. Because again, I know somebody's talking to Mrs. Portland and putting stuff in her head on how she should say things now, right? And you're only doing this because you got a beef with Noodle and you know that's a fact. It's not right. It's not right, and this might get drug in court, and all you're doing is going to hurt Mrs. Portland in the end, and that's not right. Because we all seen the screenshots, and they have it clipped, right? I seen it again. One of the clip channels, I think it's a clip channel, they have it saved, and yeah. So Mrs. Portland can't lie about it, where she put the apartment complex that she used to live at and Noodle Mash, and says, this is where Noodle Mash lives. Right? We seen it. She said, this is where she lives. And then another screenshot, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I think she even had an arrow and pointed down at the building and said, this is the building. And she even has the name of the apartment complex, and said, this is where Noodle Mash lives. That's doxing and going real life. She also called out Noodle Mash's husband by name, and she called out Noodle Mash, her first name, and said, there you go, I doxed you, or something like that. That clip is out there as well. Just heard that recently. I heard it when it happened, but somebody already clipped that. But somebody put it in her ear because she recently put out those same pictures again, and she reworded it, and she said, this is where I lived 2.5 years ago when I lived next to Noodle Mash. See where I'm going here? And then when she went live, and she's like, why can't I say where I used to live? I can put out a picture of where I used to live 2.5 years ago. Just because that's where Noodle lives, that don't mean anything. That's where I used to live 2.5 years ago. See how she's twisting that? Somebody put that in her head. I don't think Mrs. Portland came up with that on her own. That's my opinion. Somebody put that in her head to try to get her out of trouble when Noodle Mash was talking about her doxing where she lives. Because that's not what she did on those first pictures. She said, this is where Noodle Mash lives. Right? So, Mrs. Portland, it doesn't matter if you lived there 2.5 years ago. You could have said, this is where I lived 2.5 years ago, and never mentioned Noodle Mash. That would have been fine. Nobody would have known, right? There's a difference. But you saying, this is where Noodle Mash lives, that's doxing. And it's already out there. Too late. Too late. So whoever's putting this in your ear to say that, and just in my opinion, because I don't have proof, it's just my opinion, it's already too late. Because they already have what you put out to begin with. So with you saying what you said, well, why can't I say where I used to live and put out pictures? That wasn't your intent. And the judge will see right through that. He's going to see that wasn't your intent when he sees your screenshot of saying, this is where Noodle Mash lives. You put her in danger. Just like if someone did that to you or to anybody else. Especially for those that are angry at Noodle Mash. Right? You went real life and you doxed. Mentioning her husband, calling him out by name, that wasn't put out there. I don't think her first name was put out there either. Until you did. Yeah, no. And then you said, there, I doxed you. You said it yourself. See, that would all be presented to a judge. Not only that, all the other stuff could be brought in too. You harassing everybody else. Everybody else, like the female you went after, right? That did nothing to you. Nothing. No video, no nothing. I don't know if she did any afterwards, but you putting out that she used to be a man and putting out her father's, I believe his first and last name, and saying this is who she went by, that's going real life and going after a family member and saying that she was a transgender, which, I mean, she could bring up a suit against you too if she wanted to. And then all the other people you went after Granny, right? Wished the C virus on her sick child. And she hasn't talked about you, I mean, at all, hardly at all. I haven't heard anything. She had every right to make video after video on you after you did that. Wishing all of our children to have the C virus. Wishing all of us, you know, the list goes on. Why could all this be brought in as evidence to show your character? Not only that, now I'm not sure because see, this would be going to, for noodle mash, but it could be to show your character and then, to show your character on lying. Last Christmas, the big whammy to get Christmas presents, right? For someone that isn't there. A lot of that could be brought in. Maybe. I'm not sure. All the different lies you told. I could go down the list of lies. I mean, just in this last video, or not last video, but the video where you were saying that that was my house. Why can't I put the video out, or why can't I put a picture out of the house where my husband and I and my child lives at? Or lived at, I'm sorry. Right there, you lied again. Okay? You and your husband lived there. That was it. So you lied again. But then there's all the videos. I mean, there's a lot of videos of the lies, okay, that people have. Then there's all the nasty videos. Shall we go through the nasty ones? Of calling people the see you next Tuesday. All the calling them bitches. Talking about, I mean, you were talking about even Granny's, her hoo-ha. Yeah. Likens, private parts. The homophobic stuff. The racist stuff. That ain't gonna look good in court. Mm-mm. And what would that show? That Noodle Mash isn't the only one that you have harassed on social media. It shows your character. And then they'll look at Noodle Mash's videos. Okay? And in her videos, she has never body shamed anybody, especially you. She has said over and over that, do not attack Mrs. P. All she has said is what she is saying is lies. This did not happen. I don't want anybody attacking her. I am just here to tell my truth. And I just looked, and Mrs. Portland is posting all of Noodle Mash's videos on her community post, saying they're hate videos of her. Hate videos, hate videos, hate videos. What Mrs. Portland still doesn't understand, she's in a drama community. Okay? And when she says, don't talk about me, she can talk, again, about everybody else, right? She's allowed to. And she's allowed to call them the most vile, disgusting things and talk about their family members. That's another thing. The judge might see how she talked about the deceased. And yeah, that won't look good either, right? This wouldn't go very well for Mrs. Portland. It wouldn't. Now, I don't know how much, like I said, since this is between Noodle Mash and Mrs. Portland, but I'm sure that, you can bring in some videos to show character and to show lies of, hey, I have to show you. She deletes everything, but, this is a drama community, and this is where she wants to be. And she's going to use, I'm disabled. And I'm sure Mrs. Portland's going to say, they're hate attacking me. And the judge is going to look, they're not stupid, okay? They're not stupid. And they're going to see that these videos are not, of Noodle Mash is not hate attacking, but standing up for herself. And the judge might not understand about YouTube and this drama community, or whatever. But whoever it is definitely going to understand that Mrs. Portland is very vile. And with, all of her community posts and her deleting things and her already having a channel gone, I guess the truth would come out there if research is done. Was it taken down by YouTube? Or did she take it down? Maybe the truth will come out there. But there's even more to it. How far does Mrs. Portland want this to go? Because I don't know. I've never talked to Noodle Mash except saying hi, in her, if I'm lucky enough to catch one of her live streams, I'll say hi, dip in, and sometimes I got to dip out because I don't get to stay long. Or, once in a blue moon, she might come in and make a comment on one of my videos, and that's it. I don't talk to Noodle Mash outside of YouTube at all. So I have no clue what she has and what she doesn't have. But here's the thing. Mrs. Portland wants to stick with this story that Noodle Mash bullied her in high school. What if Noodle Mash still has friends back from high school, right, that can testify that what Mrs. Portland is saying is absolutely false? And even go further than that. What if Noodle Mash knows a teacher? Or maybe someone... I'm 52, and there are still, believe it or not, a few teachers at my high school, and I went to a very large high school, that have not retired yet. Getting close to it. A lot of them passed away. There's still some that are alive. But there's some of the teachers that are still teaching. I would have thought that they would have retired a long time ago, but some of the teachers, they just enjoy what they do. They love it. And I think the few that are still there, they're not doing it full time. They're doing more, of assisting, but they're still there at the high school. So what if Mrs. Or Noodle Mash gets in touch with, if they're still alive, if it goes that far, in touch with some people that were at this school to verify her story. If it goes this far, to finally say this did not happen. Or like I said, maybe some classmates. To finally put an end to this BS. And even further, how about people that live in the apartment complex, right? Because wasn't there some issues with other people that live there? Now, I don't know, but sometimes people can get subpoenaed. They might not want to testify. They might not want to. But if you get subpoenaed, you have no choice. You have no choice but to go. And you have to tell the truth, the whole truth. And you do not want to commit perjury and go to jail for somebody, okay? That's not worth it. So, what if she gets a hold of some people that live there, or even the manager themselves, if they know what the real deal was? What was the real deal of Mrs. P actually moving away? Now, she said it was to begin with, we know that it was for health issues. She never mentioned, I said this before, She never mentioned to us that there was a bully, and we know she would have. Absolutely, she would have. She never mentioned about a bully. Never heard of somebody bullying her, and that was one of the reasons why she had to move away. She said it was due to health reasons. That always sounded off to me. Now, I know some people might move out of state or move to a different climate because of health issues. But that always seemed off to me because, or if they move because of getting, they might have more help somewhere else, but it doesn't seem like they have family that helps them, right? And they're both on disability. They both have complete assistance for everything. Section 8. I mean, they've put it all out there. They have every type of assistance that you can get. So, was the real reason that they had to move out of the apartment complex that they lived in? Was it really health issues? Or was it something else? Because Noodle did say that there was a lot of issues, not just with her, but with other people in the apartment complex. So I'm just wondering, sometimes if you are an issue, and especially if you're on Section 8, Mrs. Portland put that out there, I didn't. Sometimes when your lease is up, they won't renew your lease and they'll tell you, you got to go. You've been a problem for whatever reason. We're not going to renew your lease. I've always wondered that. I just never said it out loud. So is that the reason that they had to move? Not saying it is. I'm not slandering anybody. I always wondered if that was the reason. So like I said, Noodle Mash can bring, if she wants to, she can bring other people into this to really prove her case and to finally put some solid evidence out there to finally shut some people up and to put a stop to this. Even the people that have a beef with her now, you believed her before, but now you have a beef. And like I said, who is the one that has an issue with lying and who doesn't? It doesn't matter if you don't like Noodle Mash or not. Look at it. It's about the truth, okay? Who is the one that has been the problem? Who is the one that has put lies out about everybody in this community? Everybody. That is a problem. And it's got to stop. It's not going to stop with Noodle Mash. Y'all know it. It's going to continue with somebody else after Noodle Mash. It has with everybody else. This is not going to stop with Noodle Mash. It's going to be moved on to somebody else. When they say, no, we don't condone that behavior, or we don't have time for you because we got real life stuff going on, she's going to say that's a hate attack. That's a threat. Like I said, there's enough people in this drama circle that has had enough, whether they support Noodle Mash or not. And not saying that Mrs. Portland shouldn't have a channel, but when you're using your channel to dox people, to lie about them, and to cause this kind of chaos wherever you go, we already know she was in another community and did the same thing, right? We know that before she came to this community. So this isn't her first rodeo. Don't know exactly what happened in that community. Have no clue. It would be nice if they would shed light on it, but they're not doing that. They come in and make comments here and there, but they're not really shedding light on exactly what happened. I don't believe Mrs. Portland's account of that at all because of what's going on now. But in my opinion, like I said, Mrs. Portland is not going to stop with Noodle because it hasn't stopped with anybody. And then she goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I love them, I hate them, I love them, I hate them. And spreading rumors and talking about them. And, you know, some cases, some certain cases, the courts have made it to where people cannot be on social media. Extreme cases. I don't know what they could do with Mrs. Portland because, you know, we do have our rights. But something has to be done. Absolutely. Because nobody should have to walk on eggshells. Nobody should be lied about, right? Nobody should have their business. And some creators do have a business on top of their YouTube that she's attacked, in my opinion. So she should not be allowed to get away with this. And something needs to be done. It's been almost a year. And, you know, in my opinion, she is not a threat of any, you know, when it comes to bodily harm. But maybe some of her supporters, right? Her diehard supporters, they could be. I've already said it before. You don't know the mental state, the mental health of people that support you, that might not even comment. They're just kind of lurkers. And they might think somebody is really going after someone they're loyal to or that they really like. You have no idea. And then when you're doxing other people's addresses, yeah, no, that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Like I said, this could be, get pretty serious, like I said. There's a lot of people that are sick of this. They're done. And maybe Mrs. Portland is the one that is going to be made an example of, that you cannot keep lying and keep all this vile, nasty behavior going and just get away with it. And I don't think she knows the difference between clapback and going real life and just being nasty. There's a difference. And I don't think she knows that. That's why I said before, I don't think she belongs in the drama circle. Doesn't mean she doesn't belong on a different platform, or not platform, but in a different community. But not in a drama community, because she doesn't have tough skin. And she does not know what clapback is. And I don't think she knows what doxing is, because she keeps saying, she still says people are doxing me. She's had her name out there. She had her name out there to begin with, her real legal name, when she wrote in under, I forgot what it was, complaining about Natasha. She used her real name. That was already out there. So Anyways, I 100% support Noodle uh, taking her legal, going legal on her. And she's still, going strong talking about her. And that's the thing. If you are going to talk about another creator, they have every right to clap back at you and talk about you. But all Noodle is doing is saying it's a lie. What she's saying is a lie. Other creators, if someone talks about them, they go hardcore and talk about them back. Mrs. Portland can't handle that. And she says everybody's hate attacking me. Right? Kind of like what she say about Robbie. Robbie was making fun of her her eye impairment. And that wasn't true. He did not do that. She lied about him. He didn't do that. I mean, she grifted. She did to get glasses that she's never worn. But maybe one time? She made everybody feel bad. I remember that live. I remember the community post. Since nobody's going to donate to me to get these glasses that I absolutely need, because I need bifocals. I get it. I don't. And then she's like, well, I can't wear them all the time because of this or that. I forgot what reason she used. We haven't seen her wear them since, right? And she went on and on that nobody cares, about her feelings, and nobody cares that they ain't got the money for these glasses. And yet we only seen her wear them, I think, after she got them. And then she said a family member donated the money for her to get the glasses. And I get it. I wear bifocals as well, and I don't wear them. The only time I wear them is to drive, because they bug me. And she's like, she's got these eye issues, and Robbie was making fun of her because she's got a disability with her eyes. Well, I have glaucoma, so I guess I got a disability now? Huh, didn't know that. Shoot. I mean, I take eye drops every day. I got to take it for the rest of my life, but I didn't know that I had a disability. It's under control. The pressure in my eye, every time I go in every 6 months to get my eyes checked. The pressure is exactly where it should be. The eye drops are working. So, I don't know. I got to wear bifocals. Like I said, I should wear them all the time. I just really never like the glass on my face. They just drive me nuts. But I do wear them when I drive all the time. Absolutely. And I should wear them when I watch TV or when I'm on my phone. I don't even have them on now. So you don't see me much with them on except when I'm driving. I know that's a big no-no. But what I'm saying is, I get it, glasses on my face, they bug me. But I didn't make up a fund or beg or anything to get prescription glasses and then never wear them and sit there and make everybody feel bad because, my fund, no one was donating. And then, say, I had to go to a family member and they were gracious enough to give me the money for it. And then when people question about the glasses, she gets mad about it. Like I said, I've only seen her one time with the glasses on, and that's when she first got them. Her business, but like I said, she made a fund and she did a live and made everybody feel bad about these glasses. It's all out there. Every bit of it's out there. So she she wanted to talk about other people too. I think she was talking about Lycan when he was trying to raise money for a few other people that were having a hard time. She was saying a bunch of nasty stuff about that. Like I said, if it goes legal, all of this might come out. And it's not going to look good for Mrs. Portland. It absolutely isn't. And maybe that's what it's going to take. I hate to see it go down this route. So the easiest route she would have is just to stop. To stop. Stop with the lies. Stop saying people are doing stuff to you when they're not. Learn the difference. Have your new friends tell you what the difference is between clapback and threats. There is a difference. You've been watching everybody else's channel long enough to know what the difference is. And if you don't know what the difference is, then maybe this is not the right community. There's other communities out there that isn't about drama. So anyways, I'm going to go. Everybody have a great Sunday, and we'll just talk to you again.